Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to this holiday episode of the Wiley Rein Political Law Podcast. I'm Rob Walker, and I'm here with Louisa Brooks, my colleague in Wiley Rein's Election Law and Government Ethics Practice Group. Hello, Louisa. How are you?
Hi, Rob. Doing well.
Are you ready to bring some holiday good cheer or maybe at least some holiday good sense to our listeners who want to invite government officials and employees to holiday events or provide them with other holiday gifts?
I'm ready.
Okay, so our main focus here, and just to be clear about it, this podcast is going to be about gifts for the holidays to government officials, and our main focus is on holiday invitations to holiday events, and holiday gifting to federal government officials from organizations or employees of organizations that retain or employ lobbyists. So a couple of general points we're going to want to talk about first. And so for most people, of course, the holidays are a special time of year. But Louisa, does that mean that special gift rules apply for the holidays?
No, there is no holiday edition of the federal gift rules.
No, that's disappointing.
To everyone's sadness, it is the same old gift rules that apply for the rest of the calendar year. So the good thing is that you don't have anything new to remember, but there are no special holiday editions of the rules.
Okay, so then let's start taking a look a little more closely at them. In particular, at first, holiday party invitations for officials and employees in the federal executive branch. What are the do's and don'ts on holiday event invitations to executive branch officials and employees?
Yes. So this is what will apply if you are inviting federal agency personnel to your events. Now, the most important thing is that there are two tiers of gift rules that apply here. So there are the career service agency personnel. They're subject to the general federal gift rules. But then political appointees are subject to the general gift rules. But in addition, they have more restrictions under an ethics pledge.
Right.
So the first step is to think about, am I inviting a career service employee of a federal agency, or am I inviting a political appointee?
So for the career folks, how would an invitation, what would be the thought process in planning an event or thinking about inviting federal career employees to a holiday event?
So the most important thing here, we're recording this on December 6th, and it's important that you plan ahead because the federal agency personnel can attend widely attended gatherings. So they can go to a party that qualifies as a widely attended gathering, but they require advance written determination from their designated agency ethics official that the widely attended gathering, or WAG, has an official purpose.
All right.
So you're not going to be able to get that same day. So look at your invitation lists now, and if you need some advance determination, or the attendee does, get that well ahead of time. Now, I mentioned the political appointees. Political appointees cannot attend WAGs.
Okay.
So they are out of luck.
Well, that's too bad for them.
It is.
And maybe we'll talk about whether there's any kind of an event to which, or how you might, how an appointee might attend a holiday event for an organization, a corporation, or trade association. But what is a WAG? What qualifies as a WAG? What makes something a WAG?
So for the executive branch rules, there must be an expectation that a large number of persons will attend.
Okay.
There's no specific number on that, but a large number, not two. It's never a one-on-one event.
Okay.
Persons with a diversity of views or interests must be present. So examples would be if the event is open to members from an interested industry, an interested profession, or the attendees represent a large range of persons interested in a given matter. And then there should be a meaningful opportunity to exchange ideas and views among the invited persons. So that that can be very formal, or that
Mhm.
can be kind of informal if people have an opportunity to talk with each other and exchange ideas.
So if it's an event where there's going to be purely entertainment and kind of people are invited to be an audience of something that's going on, and so they won't be able to talk to each other and exchange views. uh, Again, that's probably not a holiday party to begin with, but that would not be a WAG, right? Because there wouldn't
That's
be an
right.
opportunity to
If you're
exchange views.
if you think about it, if you're an audience member, you're in trouble for talking to other people.
That's right.
Your surrounding guests won't like you very
Right.
much.
Right.
And so that suggests that there's no exchange of ideas going on while you're watching the Nutcracker,
Right.
for example. So that's not a WAG.
And I think if I'm right, this typically then ought to mean that, again, that there's kind of a range of different people. They're not just all people from one representing one point of view or one corporation. It could be hosted
Right.
by a corporation, but the notion is that they're inviting people from a range of different organizations.
That's
and
right.
places.
And if you think about it, the purpose for the exception is that you want to give people the opportunity to exchange ideas and discuss. We want that. We want to support that.
What about the political appointees? Surely they get invited to events, and folks want to have them come to their events. Is there a way for a political appointee to accept an invitation or to attend a holiday event of an organization that employs or retains lobbyists?
Really, the only thing that political appointees can do is that they can attend an event if they're assigned to participate as a speaker or panel participant. So if you'd like, for example, to hit pause on your holiday party and have a panel,
Right.
then the political appointee can attend.
Right.
They may participate in the panel. And then if so, they can accept attendance and a meal at that time.
So that's not your typical holiday
not your
party,
typical
but
holiday
at least
party.
theoretically, if you structured something,
You could
like
have a
that,
festive panel. Yeah, a festive
Right.
panel. But other than that, the political appointees really are subject to very strict rules. So
right.
if you have colleagues, friends you're inviting who are in the executive branch, you have to think about if they're a political appointee, and it's very strict.
And of course, they could pay the fair market value of their attendance at the event.
That's right.
Yeah.
That goes for agency employees and political appointees.
Right.
If they pay the fair market value for attending, then they have not received a gift.
And the issue there is, what is the fair market value?
Right.
And I think typically it's the executive branch for an event like this would consider it to be, what the per capita cost of the food and beverage being served is. In other words, you couldn't just go and say, I only ate one crab cake, and so and I paid for that. It could be kind of pricey.
Yeah.
But
some
that
of these
could be
holiday
done.
parties are nice. So, yeah.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about the legislative branch side, the House and the Senate ethics rules here, and events and parties to which you might want to invite folks from the Hill. And there is a similar exception under the House and Senate ethics rules to the WAG, or widely attended gathering exception. The legislative branch and the executive branch want to be different, so the House and the Senate call it the widely attended event exception, not the widely attended gathering exception. And this is an event, and your holiday party could qualify as such an event. If you're inviting 20, the expectation is that it's going to be attended by 25 or more people who are not members or staff of the House or Senate, and other than your sponsoring organization. If the event is open to a range of people from throughout a given industry or profession, or who are interested in a particular issue or policy area, and the invitation comes from the sponsor. So if your organization is sponsoring a widely attended event, you could, if the event otherwise qualifies, you could issue invitations to members and staff of the House and Senate, but only the sponsor could issue those invitations. And then another important and essential criterion of the widely attended event exception is that the invited member or staffer from the House or Senate must be able to reasonably determine that their attendance is related to their official duties. So if all those boxes are checked and ticked, a invited member of the House or Senate or staffer could attend, could accept free attendance, and that free attendance could include food and beverage, even in the form of a sit-down meal at a widely attended event. Got to keep that distinct. And there could be entertainment integral to the event there. The event couldn't be a purely entertainment event or sporting event, but there could be, some entertainment that's part of the event that everyone views or participates in. But again, the key here is that the event there has to be the ability of the invited member or staffer to determine reasonably that it relates to their official duties. And that can be a stumbling block for a holiday party, at least from the point of view of the House and Senate ethics committees. Because, in fact, with respect to holiday parties meeting the widely attended event exception, the House Ethics Committee has said that this exception does not apply to events that are purely kind of recreational or entertainment in nature. So if it's just just purely social in nature. Again, if you could include a legitimate and educational or informational component in an event, that's typically what the House and Senate ethics committees are looking for in widely attended events. It might qualify as a widely attended event. However, if you are thinking about inviting staff from the House or Senate or a congressperson or a senator to your organization's holiday party, you might be better off thinking about going the route of the so-called quote-unquote reception exception. And this is an exception that you couldn't have a sit-down meal at such an event, and there could not be anything but kind of background entertainment, maybe some, holiday tape music playing in the background or a string quartet in the corner somewhere. But other than those limitations, you could have an event that's a reception. You could invite Hill folks to it. The food would have to be limited to hors d'oeuvres and appetizers, and that does not substitute for a meal. And you could also serve beverages. Alcoholic beverages are fine, including an open bar. But the House Ethics Committee, with respect to the kind of food and beverage that could be made available at a reception, has cautioned that the food at such an event should not include, quote, luxury or expensive food items. So you want to keep that in mind when you're planning the menu for your holiday reception. So that is one possible way, two possible ways, the widely attended event exception and the reception exception to plan a holiday event for your organization to which you want to invite members and staff of the House and Senate.
So, Rob, I have a question about that.
Okay.
So I'm not a lobbyist. I'm not involved in lobbying, but I do work at a firm that employs lobbyists.
Okay. Oddly enough, so do I.
If I want to invite a friend of mine who works on the Hill to my organization's holiday party, can I invite them to come with me?
Well, good question. And the answer is it's going to depend. And here, I should note that, we've been talking about, and the reason that whether or not you're a lobbyist or your employer is a lobbyist is important is because there is a so-called lobbyist gift ban that applies under the House and Senate gift rules. Lobbyists, federally registered lobbyists or organizations that employ them or that employ foreign agents may not provide gifts to members of the House and Senate unless a specific exception to the gift rule applies. So both exceptions we've talked about, the widely attended event exception and the reception exception, would permit a lobbyist employer organization to offer an invitation to someone from the House or the Senate. Now, um, uh, your question also gets to the point that, okay, you're not a lobbyist, you're an employee. Well,
Right.
you're still subject to the same restricted gift rules that your employing organization would be subject to. A gift from you, unless it qualifies as a gift of personal friendship, would basically still be subject to the restrictions on gifts from lobbyist employers or folks who retain or employ lobbyists or foreign agents.
So what you're saying is, even though I'm not a lobbyist, since I work at a firm that employs
Yeah,
lobbyists and my firm is presumably paying for the holiday party,
that's right.
then I need to think about whether it's permissible for the Hill employee to
Right.
attend that party.
That's right. So you'd still have to look, and that's well put, you'd still have to look to whether the party itself qualifies as either a widely attended event or as a reception. Now, because you're an employee of the organization that's putting on the party, if you extend the invitation, assuming it qualifies as a widely attended event, that would be deemed to be coming from the sponsor of the organization. So you would still have to look to how is the underlying event structured? Does it meet the necessary criteria?
So if the holiday party is, let's say, there are cocktails available,
Mhm.
there are hors d'oeuvres, I would
Mhm.
say heavy hors d'oeuvres,
Okay.
and then that's the beginning of the evening, and towards the end there is music and dancing. I believe there's a dance floor. Would that qualify for either the widely attended event exception or the reception exception?
Well, there are a couple of loaded elements to that question. One is the notion of heavy hors d'oeuvres.
Mhm.
And, just to be frank about it, the House Ethics Committee has indicated skepticism about providing heavy hors d'oeuvres. They've used the term they should be moderate or modest hors d'oeuvres. Again, no luxury or expensive food items. But let's say that they are food items, hors d'oeuvres, and appetizers that the House Ethics Committee would say pass muster. So that reception part before the dancing and music and entertainment, that would seem to be a reception to me. It's fast food, even, let's say there's an open bar. That's a reception. So I think that would be okay for a House or Senate person to go to. But if the DJ starts and the music starts and the dancing starts, the House and Senate Ethics Committee would take the position. I think that no, that's kind of entertainment you can't really provide at a reception.
Right. Okay.
So that might be problematic there.
Okay. And then the reason it might not qualify under widely attended gathering is because it's a purely social recreational event. Is that right?
Well, it is, yeah.
Okay.
I think for the House and the Senate, you'd have to have some more substantial informational, educational, or policy type component to it. Doesn't mean there could not be an opportunity to walk around and mingle and have hors d'oeuvres and drinks, but to qualify as a widely attended event, there would have to be somewhat more of an informative component to it.
Okay, that makes sense.
So we've talked about events, holiday parties of one kind or another. What about on the executive branch side? What about, stocking stuffer type gifts? Can you provide those kinds of items or tangible holiday gifts under the executive branch gift rules to career folks or to political appointees on the executive branch side?
Sure, Rob. So for career service employees of federal agencies, we're assuming, now I assume in your question that we're talking about the giver of the stocking stuffer, Santa or otherwise,
Mhm.
is a prohibited source. to the
Yes.
agency.
Yes.
And without,
I never thought of Santa Claus as a prohibited source.
oh, he's
before.
probably regulated by somebody.
Okay. So let's just assume that, yes, for purposes of this question.
So, and without going too much into detail on prohibited source, essentially, if you or your employer does business with an agency, is regulated by an agency, your employer and everyone who works there is a prohibited source,
right,
and is subject to the gift rules.
Mm-hmm.
So under those gift rules, though, again, for career service employees, there is a gift exception for items under $20. The item must be under $20. And then there's an aggregate limit for the calendar year of no more than $50.
Mm-hmm.
So any individual gift under $20 with a cap of $50 per year, you can provide stocking stuffer type items within that limit. Santa is not coming for the political appointees.
No, oh, gee.
No stocking stuffers for the political appointees.
Yeah.
This exception is removed for them. It doesn't exist for them.
Perhaps a lump of coal, or not even that.
Not even that.
It has value. It's a gift. So shifting back to the legislative branch side, for these kinds of items for members and staff of the House or Senate, there is an exception for items of little intrinsic value. And under this exception, an organization that employs or retains lobbyists or representative of such an organization could provide a gift such as a ball cap or a T-shirt or a greeting card. It should be of reasonable value, although there's no specific dollar limit given in the rule, but there is a kind of rule of reason there. Or if it's another item and the value of this other item is under $10, that could also fit not only under the this exception, but presumably then fit within the members or staffers' stocking. Now, there are some limits, though. It must be a non-food item. Food items are not permissible under this exception, under the exception for items of little intrinsic value. And it can't be a gift card, because a gift card is deemed to be a cash equivalent, and gifts of cash are never permissible, regardless of the amount or regardless of the circumstances.
No cash.
No cash. So, I think that one's an easy one to understand. And then just generally, to make a more kind of general point, we've been talking about gifts that may be accepted by federal officials, either from the legislative branch side or from the Hill. Yeah, they can accept the kinds of gifts we're talking about, but they can't ask for them. Solicitation of a gift, even if the gift is otherwise acceptable, renders that gift unacceptable. So federal officials may not solicit gifts, even if they fit in under some other exception to the gift rules. So I think we've kind of covered the field for now. Anything, any other gift tips you want to add, Louisa?
Sure. I'll jump in with a reminder for our listeners that.
Oh yeah, let's talk about the state
That's
level.
right.
Yeah, we got to talk about that.
Don't forget the states and localities. So many of our listeners may have, let's say, many organizations might be interested if they learn that a legislator from Arkansas is in town, or the Attorney General of Kentucky is in town, and they think, oh, hey, that, we're interested in things they're doing in their state or their city. We'd love to have them at our holiday party. Well, you and I today have covered the federal gift rules. The bad news for our listeners is that every single state in this country has its own version of these gift rules, and they're all different.
And most localities
Most localities now have their own gift rules as well. So if you have state or local government officials or employees that you would like to invite to your holiday event, that needs to be separately vetted to make sure that you're not providing a gift that's impermissible under that person's jurisdiction's gift ruls. We vet questions like this all the time.
In particular, you.
Yes. May we invite so-and-so to our conference, to our reception. And they do require separate vetting because the gift rules are all different. Just like the federal rules, there's generally no holiday edition to any of the gift rules.
Right.
No one relaxes them for the holiday season. There are a limited number of jurisdictions that might have like a holiday gift exception. The city of Atlanta, for example, has a gift basket exception for the holidays. They want an office to be able to accept a gift basket. It's very kind of them.
Okay.
But for the most part, the gift rules stay the same all year.
You certainly can't assume that a jurisdiction allows that by any means.
Exactly. Right. And while some agencies in the states or localities might send out holiday reminders, we saw the Louisiana Board of Ethics send out a holiday reminder about the gift rules, which they tend to do annually. But that doesn't mean the rules have changed. It's just an opportunity to refresh people while they're attending the holiday event.
Which is the same for the House Ethics Committee and the Executive Branch Office of Government Ethics, although they sometimes put it in the form of a poem, which we will spare our listeners from hearing.
It's an impressive poem.
Well, that's great advice, Louisa, and great to cover, at least to talk about the varied state and local issues that could come up. So with that, Louisa, I think we can wish everyone a merry but ethical gifting to all, and to all a good night.
That's right, Rob.
Okay.
Happy holidays.
Bye.